Loyalty has an expiration date. The problem is when you're the nice person, your loyalty lasts far longer to certain people than it should, because their loyalty to you has been expired. But you being a good person, you hang on to friendships and become forgiving far longer than you really should be. Loyalty has an expiration date.
I came to talk to you as living creatures who have found restrictions in the place that you once found nurture and found yourself imprisoned by narrow thinking people and narrow thinking circumstances and narrow evolving predicaments. I came to tell you that you cannot feed in one realm and stay in that realm, that if you get enough on the inside of you, you will find a discomfort in staying in the dimension that you once lived in. And I came to prepare your hearts and minds. If you're not prepared to go through some bloody stuff and some stinky stuff and some dirty stuff, you don't want to keep feeding on this kind of word, because if you feed on this kind of word, it will open up your mind and open up your thinking and open up your ideas and open up your concepts until all of a sudden you are uncomfortable in what you were once comfortable in. You're thinking on another level, and it's causing a separation, because what used to be funny isn't funny anymore. And what you used to enjoy, you don't enjoy anymore. And what you used to be satisfied with, you're not satisfied with anymore. And all of a sudden, you don't fit in the places you used to fit in. And you don't even understand it. And they think you're acting funny, and they think you're acting strange. And they say things like, you forgot where you came from. I didn't forget it. I just can't stay in it.
God don't like you to surround yourself with people, things, and situations that's going to stop you from reaching the level of success that God has destined you in your career to get to. That's why God gave us free will. God gave us a choice. He is revealing to you over and over and over again that you are talented, you are beautiful, you are special, you are an individual. Where God has destined your life and your career to be and go, you cannot get there with all of the people that you've showed up. Normally when you find yourself cutting off dead weight, because your boat is at its capacity. If the boat is at 1,500, and because you're loyal, you have your boat now at 4,000 pounds in capacity. You are now on a boat that has blessings and opportunities, but it's overweight. It's past its capacity, which means that if God has destined your life to get from here to where it's destined to be, you're carrying dead weight. Your boat is either going to sink, or God has destined your life and your career to get to the ultimate blessings and the goals and where you're supposed to be. Because you got all this dead weight and you're operating over your capacity, it's going to take you that much longer to get there.
I've got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. You tell your twin you can stay in there if you want to. This might be okay for you, but I got to get out of here. Even if I have to fight my way out, I've got to get out there. If I've got to pull and pull, I've got to get out. I've got too much vision to stay in this rut.
I want to talk to you today about connecting with the right people. Your destiny is too big to get there on your own. God has already arranged certain people to speak faith into you. He's placed in your path people to inspire you, to help you grow and accomplish your dreams. But the reason some people never reach their highest potential is because they never get away from the wrong people. You've got to connect with people that understand your destiny. People that appreciate your uniqueness. People that can call forth your seeds of greatness. Not people that are always pushing you down, telling you what you can't become, never giving you their approval, no matter how good you do. Life is too short to drag people along. If you will get the wrong people out of your life, then God will bring the right people into your life. And some of you, the only thing that's holding you back is your inner circle. The people that are closest to you, they're with you, but they're not really for you. You're constantly having to persuade them that you're okay and convince them to get on board. You're spending all your time and energy on someone that doesn't understand your destiny.
I'm going to change where I change. I'm going to transition where I transition. Ready or not, here I come. Like it or not, here I come. Celebrate me or not, here I come. The hardest thing to do, the hardest thing to deal with, the hardest thing to manage, the hardest thing to put up with is transition. The thing we hate the most is transition. We hate it because it takes us out of our element. It takes us out of our comfort zone. It takes us out of the place where we are secure and we've learned how to manage and control everything. You cannot control everything when you are in transition. It is what it is. It happens like it happens. I can't get my hair done and do it. I can't be pretty about it. I've got to come out any way I can. I'm in transition. I can't meet with the board or get everybody to approve it. When my water breaks, get ready. Here I come. Touch it and say, move. Move. I'm grown out of this spot. Move. I'm coming into another dimension. Move. I see a door opening for me. Move. Born again, again, and again, and again. Because if you look back over your life, every so often, every so many days or situations or circumstances, you find yourself in a world that's too small and too tight and too limited, and you have to go through a birthing process from one dimension to get into the next dimension, and you are being born again and again. You get comfortable, and as soon as you settle all in and say, now I got my life all nice and neat, and I finally got it just the way I want it, and oh, I've arrived, and I've reached my destination, and then you look around, and the world begins to lurch, and all of a sudden you have to recreate yourself and find yourself starting all over again. You were sure yourself over here, but now you're a student again over there. You knew how to do this, but now you're learning again how to do that, and you are born again.
Here's what leadership is. The challenge to be more than mediocre. The challenge to step up to a new level, a new dimension. And here's what this new dimension has. Opportunity and responsibility. But who wouldn't want the responsibility along with the opportunity if it builds an extraordinary life? You wouldn't want it any other way. The refinement of leadership. Make this list. Learn to be strong but not rude. Some people mistake rudeness for strength. Rudeness we don't need. Strength we do need. Here's the next one. Learn to be bold but not a bully. We need to boldly seize the day, boldly seize the opportunity, boldly seize the chance. But we don't need bullies. We don't need anybody to push anybody around. There's a whole new level of leadership. A new method of leadership. Here's what it is. Leadership by invitation. Not leadership by threat, not leadership by intimidation. That now shows the weakness of the leader. That now shows ego at work instead of skills. But it's leadership by invitation. Invite somebody to a better way of doing things. Here's what else it's called. Leadership by inspiration. Inspiring somebody to make the necessary changes to move up or to get the job done. As leaders, we inspire. As leaders, we entice. As leaders, we invite, entice, inspire, not threaten. New kind of leadership. Be bold but not a bully. Next, be kind but not weak. Some people mistake weakness for kindness, and it's a great mistake. Kindness isn't weak. Kindness is a certain unusual strength. But don't say, I must be weak in order to be kind. The answer is no. Sometimes you have to be unusually strong to be kind. Somebody coined the expression, tough love. Love that really tells the truth and levels, sometimes with a broken heart, but whatever has to be said, has to be said. Kind but not weak. Here's another one that's excellent. Be thoughtful but not lazy. We need to give thought, but we also need to take action.
As you grow up and get older, you start realizing what actually makes sense for your life and what don't make sense for your life. You may revisit the things that don't make sense for your life occasionally sometimes, but that's when you decide that you want to have that But for the most part, because I grew up with my brothers and sisters, doesn't mean that we're actually going to walk in the same path. Because I have my friends that I grew up with doesn't mean that we're going to move and walk and have our lives, family, mind state, career choice, the way we think, the way we move, moving in the same direction. Some of y'all are loyal. Have this power struggle with this concept called loyalty. You're so loyal. You're watching your career and your life and your surroundings crash and burn because you're being loyal to those friends. They're insecure and threatened by you, and anything that you do and any move that you make, they ask you questions like, yo, what you got going on? And they seem to be curious. But as soon as you share that information deep down inside, they are angry, mad, and jealous and envious about anything that you have going. But you're so loyal. You're so emotionally tied to these people that you found yourself being committed to because you grew up with them, because you know, because they have the same blood as you. You hold on to things that don't make sense for the new season of your life. But because you actually know them, because you're comfortable, because you're used to it, because they may know all of your business and your secrets, you hold on to dead weight. People are in your life for a reason. Other people are there for a season. But it's important to recognize when people's seasons are over.
I found some people you have to love from a distance. They're still my friends, but they're not in my inner circle. Don't cast your pearl among swine. You could say your pearl is your gift, your personality. It's who you are. When you get around true friends, people that really believe in you, they won't be jealous of your gifts. They won't try to talk you out of your dreams. It'll be just the opposite. They'll help you develop your pearl, polish your pearl, enhance your pearl, grow your pearl. In other words, they'll give you ideas. They'll help push you further along. You shouldn't stay around people that don't value your gifts and appreciate what you have to offer. That's casting your pearl among swine.
You need to dream without just being a dreamer. Head in the clouds, yes, dreaming lofty dreams, but feet on the ground. Here's 2 or 3 more. These are excellent. Be humble but not timid. Some people mistake timidity for humility. Humility is a virtue. Timidity is an illness. It can be cured. It can be managed. And if you are timid, you got to work on it. I'm telling you, it's a weakness. It's not a virtue. But you must turn your timidity into strength and keep working on it and keep working on it until finally you have driven it into such a small corner.
Tưởng vào duyên số nhưng nếu em cho số đảm bảo mình nên duyên đấy. Từ khi gặp em Google hết tác dụng bởi em là tất cả những gì anh cần tìm, giống một kho báu để ngăn người khác đụng tới. Đối đầu thế giới anh cũng sẵn sàng cân tín, ghét phải lặng im coi em như cô bạn. Nỗi nhớ đong đầy bao giờ mới khô cạn, khoảnh khắc bên nhau thời gian như ngừng trôi vì em sở hữu sự hấp dẫn vô hạn. Yêu đơn phương cảm giác khó đọc tên, mọi thứ mù mịt giống như đứng trước bão. Mãi hy vọng chờ đợi ngóng trông đến ngày nụ hôn đó sẽ một lần được trao. Hương thơm ngọt ngào vương trên mái tóc em, gây nghiện cực mạnh anh ngày đêm ước áo. Quỳnh là loài hoa đẹp nhất trong bóng đêm, cuộc đời này u tối đang cần em bước vào. Đưa cho anh cái bản đồ vì anh sắp lạc bên trong đôi mắt kia. Hãy đưa cho anh cuốn từ điển vì cảm xúc này.
That it does not devastate your life anymore. But humility is a virtue. Expands your ability to understand the vastness of it all and how small we are in relation to everything. Humility that causes you to get on your knees and talk to a child without any fear how you look. Humility to understand, yes, humans are unique, but in the vast space of it all, we're all pretty small. Yes, we know, but what we don't know is so much greater than what we do. Here's a couple of more. Be proud without being arrogant. There's something to be said for team pride and community pride, company pride, personal pride. But don't cross the line to where your being proud now becomes arrogance. Pride we need, arrogance we don't. Arrogance is usually the childish attempt to make up for lack of self-worth. The childish attempt to make up for lack of self-worth has a tendency to create arrogance. And you know the worst kind of arrogance? Arrogance from ignorance. That's the worst kind. If a guy's smart and arrogant, we can tolerate that. But if a guy's dumb and arrogant, that's hard to take. So now, all leaders must learn the basic laws so they can use them as illustrations as well as use them for productivity. Here's the first of the basic laws. Whatever you sow, you reap. Now here's another way to put it on the positive side. In order to reap, you must sow. Reaping is reserved for those who sow, who plant. To deserve the harvest, you must plant the seed, take care of it in the summer, carefully harvest it, and then do wise things with the harvest. Now, here's the rest of the law of sowing and reaping. If you sow good, you reap good. If you sow bad, you reap bad. You can't sow bad and hope for good. You can't plant weeds and hope for flowers. It works both positive and negative. Now, here's something else about the law of sowing and reaping. You don't reap what you sow. You reap much more than what you... you sow. Now here's what's important to understand on that. It works both positive and negative. The old prophet said, if you sow to the wind, you don't reap a wind, you reap a whirlwind. You got to be careful sowing to the wind. It doesn't come back as a wind, it comes back as a whirlwind. That's on the negative side. But now it also works on the positive side. If you plant a cup of corn, how much do you get back? A cup? No, a bushel for the cup. You get back much more than what you plant. That's the reason for planting, for the increase. Positive, negative. Now here's the next key to the law of sowing and reaping. Sometimes it doesn't work at all. The farmer plants the crop in the spring, takes care of it all summer, is an honorable man, loves his family, is a decent citizen. But the day before he sends the combines into the field, a hailstorm comes along and beats his crop into the ground, and it's gone, it's lost. So this time it didn't work. So now what must the farmer do? He's got to decide whether to do it again or not. Should we take another chance in the next spring? We would advise him to do so, even though he lost everything in the last harvest. And it didn't work. You didn't reap what you sowed. But here's the law of averages. Here's the odds. More often than not, you reap what you sow. More often than not, you'll have a harvest if you plant in the spring. There's no guarantee, but more often than not. And guess what more often than not is? Pretty good odds. It's better than Las Vegas. Incredible. Next, one of the most important laws to learn is the law of averages. If you do something often enough, you'll get a ratio of results. Once you understand that, the world is yours. Learning to employ people in the unique thing called the law of averages is stunning in its result in terms of fortune, future. In baseball, we call it batting average. Swing 10 times, get a hit. Swing 10 times, get a hit. Nobody bats 9 out of 10. Some of these guys are getting $5, $6, $7 million a year, batting 2, 3 out of 10. So you don't have to be perfect here. All you have to do is understand the law of averages. Now, even if you're only getting 1 out of 10, you can now start to...
Yeah. Khi say anh thường Hãy nhắc về em, mong khỏa lấp những u tối. Khoảnh khắc về đêm nghe lại bài ca ngày xưa cũ. Ta hát về nhau nhớ những giấc mơ ta từng ước. To tát về sau và đó là khi mà anh dần lụy là không làm chủ chính mình. Thấy không gian trở nên tồi tệ, mọi thứ bao phủ chính mình. Em đâu còn như điều anh mơ, anh cũng tự nhủ chính mình. Nhưng mà thôi em, nào ai giỏi mà đủ tính tình. Chẳng thể vươn tới được cảnh cao dù anh có nhã ý trèo. Trong cơn say mọi thứ cuồng quay anh trở thành gã chí phèo. Yêu chân thành là không thay lòng dù em có như thị nở. Ý anh là em như cô Tấm nhìn em như thị nở. Đêm vắng nàng ngón tay xám vàng vì đốt cả bao thuốc lá. Căn phòng chung ký xưa nồng ấm bây giờ sao bút giá. Một thói xấu mà anh đã quen khi em không ở bên lâu. Anh thường ngồi trong một góc tối nhậu suốt cả đêm thâu. Em mang con tim anh đi đâu, khiến anh mù quáng vẫn cố sáng mỗi khi đau. Em mang con tim anh đi đâu, điều gì choáng váng để xứng đáng ướt mi nhau. Em mang con tim anh đi đâu, khiến anh mù quáng vẫn cố sáng mỗi khi đau. Em mang con tim anh đi đâu, điều gì choáng váng để xứng đáng ướt mi nhau. Đêm thâu anh đâu muốn nỗi buồn cứ dậy thêm đâu. Tên nhau anh cố gắng không nhớ để mà quên đau. Đào sâu trong ngàn điều muốn nói nhưng chẳng nên câu. Bao lâu để tổn thương phai mở đi những vết dấu. Vì sao thiếu em đời tôi như bài văn thiếu ý. Vì sao chỉ biết yêu thôi chẳng hiểu gì dại khờ. Khi con tim cần người không phải người cần dại khờ. Dấn thân mãi để kiếm trời dưới đất. Vội vàng mang ưu tư vào nhạc cất. Vội vàng tôi muốn tắt nắng đi cho màu đừng nhạt mất. Tương tư chiều cuốn cuộc đời theo hướng mặt trời xa đi. Tương tư chiều mà kỷ niệm ôi còn gọi ta chi. Biển tình dù bao la nhưng mặn chát đắng. Và biển anh không xứng là biển xanh, nhưng anh muốn em là bờ cát trắng. Yêu là xuống cả địa ngục vì đã chót tin như là xuân diệu. Yêu là chết ở trong lòng một ít.
Compete. If you've been here a long time, you can get 9 out of 10. I just joined, I can only get 1 out of 10. I'm telling you, if we have a contest, I will beat you. Say, well, you just started, how could you beat me? It's very simple. While you talk to 10 and get 9, I will talk to 100 and get 10. I win. Isn't that clever? Here's what I do if I'm new. I make up in numbers what I lack in skill. Once you understand the law of averages, I'm telling you, it's so exciting to work with the law of averages. Here's the next important law, called the law of faith. Faith is the ability to see things that don't yet exist. Faith, though, can turn difficulty into reality, positive reality. Here's what faith is for. Number one, faith is the ability to see it as it is. Faith doesn't mind seeing it as it is because faith is a miracle worker. Faith does not ignore the negative. Faith uses the negative, because if there was no negative, there'd be no need for faith. If everything is okay, what would you need faith for? You need faith because it isn't okay. Now, what isn't okay? Who knows? The situation that isn't okay. So here's what faith does. Number one, faith does not ignore the negative, because faith now stands as the miracle worker if you let it work. So faith sees it as it is. If it's ugly, it's ugly. If it isn't working, it isn't working. If it's a mess, it's a mess. It doesn't hurt to call a mess a mess. You don't need to fancy it up here. If it's broke, it's broke. If it's miserable, it's miserable. Faith doesn't mind admitting that. Faith doesn't mind seeing that. Here's why. Number one, you can see it as it is. That's the beginning of faith, seeing it as it is. Now, here's the second step of faith. See it better than it is. Couldn't you see beyond the mess? The mess is for today. Couldn't you look into tomorrow? The answer is yes, I guess I could look into tomorrow. Humans have this incredible ability to look into tomorrow, to look into next week. Dream the dreams, make the plans, visualize, use your imagination, see it better than it is. Now here's the third step that turns faith into reality. Make it better than it is. faith now must be invested in the muscle. But if you invest faith now in the action, you can take any situation and make it better than it is. Next, in the beginning of faith, seeing it as it is. Don't see it worse than it is. Don't blow it out of proportion. Some people have this tendency to blow it all out of proportion and say, well, it can't be that bad. If it's this bad, that's how bad it is. You don't need to multiply how bad it is by 10. Just as it is. That's the deal. As it is. Don't see it worse than it is. Now here's the next. Don't see it for more than it can become. There's a thin line between faith and folly. Yes, it's possible to see yourself as a millionaire, but not overnight. Somebody says, well, yes, I can see that. Don't see it for more than it can become in a reasonable period of time. Yes, if it dropped out of the sky overnight, but that's not likely. But it's still possible to be a millionaire. It's still possible to be rich and wealthy, given a certain amount of time working with the law of averages and all the rest of the stuff we've talked about today. So don't see it for more than it can become so that you move into folly instead of faith. Plenty is possible without being foolish. Now here's the next one. Give yourself a chance to understand that it could be far more in the future than what you can first see. Take the first step of what you can see, but give yourself a chance to be able to see it for more than what you first see it. On a foggy night, if all you can see is 100 feet, here's what you do. Walk that first 100 feet, now you can see another 100 feet. You can't see the 200 feet. But if you can see 100 feet, you walk the first 100 feet, now you can see another 100 feet. So I'm asking you to take the early steps of faith. Whatever you can see it possible to become, start believing that. Have faith for that. And I'm telling you, as that starts to exercise, you'll be able to see it for more and for more and for more. The possibilities will start to increase in your own imagination.